I'm Deher. I've been on top of Utah's real estate market for over 10 years. I will show you things about this market that you never knew. Welcome to Real Estate Essentials. I'm Deher. We all have a friend or family member that got a really incredible deal on the house, but the question is, how'd they do it? Did they know something you didn't? Well, if you pay attention to this show, I'm going to show you some of the best pointers that you're going to do if you're ever looking to buy or sell real estate. I'm also going to show you some of the hottest deals that are going on in the market. So pay attention. Right after the break, we're going to get started.
Here's some good reasons why to do business with Michael Chevrolet. 1, we're now open on Saturdays for parts and service. 2, you save on sales tax. 3, we have a shuttle service that'll pick you up, drop you off. You're in the market to buy a car. Michael Chevrolet is rated the highest that you can get in customer satisfaction. The highest. And when you buy a car from us, you get 2 years and 24,000 miles free maintenance. I'm not lying. We're right across from the outlet malls, right off the freeway. Michael Chevrolet. Why'd you go anywhere else? Come on in.
ABC4 Utah wants you to ask the expert. During our 4 p.m. newscast, you'll see experts from Utah answering your questions on a variety of topics.
Options Animal is here to help you take control of your financial future.
Every Tuesday, we will answer your questions on the overall financial markets and how you can effectively manage your own investments.
At Options Animal, we understand that nobody cares more about your money than you do.
Just go to abc4.com/expert and submit your questions to our experts today.
Welcome back. I've got Darren Rhodes with Castle & Cook, one of my very favorite lenders in the market. And we were just talking about how Utah's market is so unique, and that's why this program is so important, because our market is changing and of course is affected by the national changes of interest rates and stuff like that. But we are our own unique state, right?
Well, we really are. We follow national trends to a point, but if you look back over the last 10 years, you can see how Utah's had kind of its own trends that are somewhat independent of what's going on nationally.
That's right, and that's why this program is so important, because we're going to be talking about these things. One of the big things we're dealing with is all these new jobs that we're bringing in. Of course, we had low interest rates, which caused a bunch of appreciation. Enough appreciation. We were I think we were in the top 10 last year by Forbes in appreciation. Salt Lake was.
That's a lot of appreciation in 1 year.
It is. Of course it is. And the reason why that is, of course, we got a lot of people growing inside the state and buying, because of low interest rates. But the other cool thing is, right, we got all these new jobs coming.
There are a lot of new jobs coming into the state. In fact, what was the stat from 2012?
Yeah, we actually brought in like 32,000 new jobs into the state of Utah last year, and it's only continuing. And the reason why we're getting all these new jobs is because Utah's become that new kind of technology area where all these big businesses are coming in. The kind of structure of corporate America was to outsource out of country. And now they've changed that whole strategy and decided, well, we're going to actually bring our workforce into the United States, but we want to bring them into areas that are really hot. We want to get that low taxes. We want that educated workforce, and we happen to have that. We got really low taxes. We've got a really super highly educated workforce out there that's really young. Our energy costs here are super, super low. And so we're creating all these new jobs, which is creating a lot of demand in our local market, right?
Yeah, and when these new jobs come in to the state, then it does two things. It creates demand from the people to buy a home because they need shelter because they're coming into the state. And then they also have a job to pay for that house.
That's right. And these are high-paying jobs. These are not just, And so that's what we're dealing with right now. Is there's a lot of people coming into our state, and it's only going to continue to increase. Salt Lake was the best city for business the past 3 years, according to Forbes. And it's not stopping now. The jobs we're still on that same pace. We should hit about 32,000 again this year. And so I guess if you wrap this thing up and say, what's that mean for our market? If you're thinking about, I guess the answer is, if you're thinking about buying or selling, interest rates are going up, which slows things down a little bit, but our local market there's a ton of demand going on, so it can't stop. And so if you're thinking about making a change, if you're not in the house you're happy with right now, make a move quickly, because the prices are only going up and the interest rates are going up. I'm going to show you some really cool homes. The one we're going to go look at is a heritage home, and I love this home. This is one of our lovely historic homes here in Utah, and this one is absolutely stunning. The pride and ownership, you can just tell the people that have lived in this home. The interesting thing on this is the house was built in 1911, but there's only been 2 families to live in it. The current gentleman that lives in it has lived in it for over 35 years. He grew up in the neighborhood, and as a little kid, he said he used to peer through the fence and look at this house and just absolutely loved it. And Megan, now he was telling you about the people that were in there first.
An interesting story. The first owner used to be a doctor, and he would actually practice out of this house. There's a sunroom off the side of the house that he used as his waiting room and the room that he used to see patients.
Yeah, and you can, what they did to this house and all the beautiful woodwork and all the just wood floors throughout, and they put the carpets over the top to, you know, cut down the noise a little bit. But as you can see, this is just one of those stunning, this is our history in Utah. I mean, This thing almost looks like a museum, and he takes care of it like it's immaculate. Nice thing is, you can see they upgraded the kitchen. You know, they brought it up to standard. They've been working on this house for years, and the ownership, the pride and ownership, I just can't say enough how proud of this gentleman is that lives in this house.
Something very cool is that most of this house was made by hand. You've got your hammered copper sconces. You've got most of the woodwork in this house is hand carved.
That's right. The sconces actually, the sconces actually came from Belgium, and the crown molding came from France. Just the detail work on this house, and then they bring it up to code, as you can see, with all kind of that modern styling that they put in there. They've got off the master bedroom, they've got this really nice deck that looks over the city. The other cool thing is, this is one of those narrow kind of neighborhoods where you drive through and the big trees are covering everything, and it's one of those neighborhoods just absolutely love. And it's a real extreme value. Okay, so Darren, if you wanted to get a loan on this thing, what would we be looking at?
Jay, with the purchase price of $875,000, your best terms would be to come in with a down payment of at least 20%. So that would be about $175,000. And if your APR is about 5.864, then your principal and interest payment would be just over $4,000, $4,085 on this house.
That's great. What a beautiful historic home. When we come back, I'm going to show you a really nice horse property in Harriman.
You don't need someone dropping the ball on your mortgage. Recruit a professional, Darren Rhodes, Utah's Mortgage Pro. He's got the skills, speed, and experience to win the best financing for your home. So draft Darren today at utahmortgagepro.com.
Searching down home flyers is so 1980s. You are ever driving around and you find your dream neighborhood, all you need to do is download Jade's free mobile app. Using this app, you can search for homes, investment properties, and vacant land available using your phone's GPS. What you need to do is text JSLC to 87778. Text JSLC to 87778.
Welcome back. Now we're headed out to Harriman to look at some horse property. So Darren, we're headed on down to Harriman. If you don't know where Harriman is, it's South Salt Lake County, and this has become a real hot spot lately. And the reason why, it's one of those places that developed out late, so there's still a lot of land available. And this house is an example of that. It actually has 1.4 acres, and it has animal rights, so you can actually have horses on this property. And these have become real popular because in downtown Salt Lake right now, where are you going to put 1.4 acres? It's not really possible. So they have to go to the outlying areas to do this, and this is an example of that. Before we get into that though, let's talk about a loan and what that would look like on this type of property.
Well, since it's in Salt Lake County and your purchase price is at $469,000, you're awfully close to that conventional limit of $417,000. So if I were to pick the very best loan for me, I would try and bring in 10%, which would get my loan to $417,000. That way I could get the very best terms possible, the best payment. And that would put your payment, if you had an APR of about 4.875, then that would put your payment at about $23.25. a month, principal and interest and mortgage insurance all combined.
So wait, I could have this house for about $23-25 a month?
Yeah, it's very, very cheap compared to what you're getting. You would have your taxes and insurance on top of that as well, but yeah, it's a very inexpensive price point.
Yeah, I mean, for just over 5,000 square feet with a big 3-car garage, and as you can see, plenty of rooms and plenty of room to grow. The nice thing about this one is the people that actually developed this land, they love this lot. This is actually where they used to camp and look out over the valleys. You should look out the window there. Just, it's a stunning area, stunning location. This one's gonna get snatched up just because some of those people are looking for land, and land's so important, and like we talk about, like land's important, houses are great, but land's extremely important. So size of land.
Well, and look at the size of these rooms. They just keep going. They're huge.
It's a lot of house for sure. So Harriman is one of those hot spots that we've seen over the last little bit. As you notice here, they also have an office with an exterior entrance coming off of that deck. This is great for a write-off on your taxes. We can actually write off it as a business part of your home. You got to appreciate horse property, always valuable. And I have actually got Laura Lee here with me. She's got a couple questions.
So Jay, I always hear people say location, location, location. What does that exactly mean?
Okay, so if you think a real estate transaction of two different ones, you've got the brick and mortar of the house of it, which is actually a depreciating asset. It becomes less valuable each year.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it gets outdated. You got to update the house. You know, it's got a new roof, all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
New houses become more valuable. And then you got the actual land and its location. The thing about the location is they're not making any more land in downtown Salt Lake, for instance.
True.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And so they'll actually take large parcels of land there, and they'll actually divide them up and separate them and make them into smaller parcels because the land is so valuable. And so that's what you see. If you notice places in Salt Lake where they're actually building up in the air, it's actually the land. It's become so valuable they can't afford to build out. They have to build up in the air, which is more expensive on costs.
That makes sense. Kind of like they do in New York.
Absolutely. If you look at those major financial areas, they're building as high as they possibly can because that location, or the Strip in Las Vegas or something like that, building up in the air, can't build out. And so if you're ever looking at locations, very important, and everything tends to go around a financial hub. So if you look at downtown Salt Lake, where it's building up and then it slowly goes out into the suburban areas, for instance, Draper and then into Utah County, the land becomes less valuable and the houses become less expensive the farther you go out. And so your location is extremely valuable.
The farther you go out from the mainstream?
Yeah, typically where people are working because they have to drive in, and so the cost of driving and all that.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah. Okay, so I have another question. I'm in love with two houses. One's on a kind of busy street, and the other one is located in a cul-de-sac. Which do you recommend?
The busy streets only get busier as our city grows, and that's a dilemma because those will actually depreciate your land because they become, not as desirable. But in locations where you're secluded, like cul-de-sacs and stuff, those are always good family neighborhoods, and those appreciate faster. So always look for those opportunities.
Oh, very nice. Okay, so Jay, I'm thinking about getting a real estate agent. Is that going to cost me more money?
Actually, it doesn't cost the buyer anything. It's actually all paid for by the seller. And the nice thing about having a real estate agent help you as a buyer, you have somebody that's looking out for your best interest, and the state governs everything that goes on with us. And so you can't, as an agent, you can't do anything that's fraudulent or misleading, or else you end up.
That's good to know.
Yeah, or else you end up losing your license. You can't do it anymore. So it's really valuable.
So I'm really excited to buy a house. What's my next step?
I'm going to actually have my friend Darren, who's a lender, and he's really great. The best thing to do is let's start you with a lender and figure out where your payments might be and what you can afford and feel comfortable with, and then we're going to find you some houses. But when we come back, I'm going to actually show you a house that's an entry-level home with a 3-car garage that you can get far less than rent. So stay tuned.
I woke up not knowing if I was going to feel sick that day, not knowing if I was going to be able to go to school or go to work.
I was extremely fatigued. I was sleeping probably close to 16 hours a day.
It was a hard way to live because you don't understand what's going on in your body and you feel like you should be healthier in your habits and you just feel horrible.
Are you suffering from low thyroid or Hashimoto's? Do you have any of these symptoms? Our breakthrough approach for low thyroid and Hashimoto's is here.
I feel like a regular healthy person.
We just got them. They're beautiful. Completely brand new car. You gotta come look at this. It's a V6, gets great fuel economy. I mean, I really like this car. It gets me all excited. And then I see the price, and I see the gas mileage, and I see all the bells and whistles. I'm telling you, why am I not? I should be driving this car.
Acura, smart luxury. Mike Hale Acura, smart choice.
Come to Mike Hale Acura. We have them. Now you can have one. You can always find us on MikeHale.com 24/7.
And now we're going to go look at a house down in Provo that first-time home buyers are going to love because they can get this one cheaper than rent. So if you ever wonder what buyers are looking for, this is an extremely hot house. This is, whoever the builder was that built this one should be extremely proud of himself because it's got that 3-car garage, it's got that big kitchen, big open floor plan, really nice master bedroom, decks off the back. It actually has a private deck off of the master bedroom, as well as a patio out front. The colors that they put in here, the granite countertops, just stunning. This house, literally when it hits the market, multiple offers, and both times, because I actually helped the guy buy it and helped him sell it, and I was so excited when he called me because I know this one, the minute I throw up on the market, I'm gonna get multiple offers. Even though we price it high in the market, it doesn't even matter if the market's down, I can sell this house because it has what everybody's looking for. So if you wanted to get a loan on this one, what's it look like?
The exciting thing about this house is how affordable it really is. I mean, with the $229,000 purchase price, you've got a lot of loan options. I would start looking at maybe a 30-year fixed conventional mortgage because the down payment would only be 5%, which is $11,450. And if you had an interest rate of about 4.5%, that would put your APR at about 5.169, and that would mean that your principal and interest payment would only be $1,228 a month. No, it's very affordable. You can't rent this house for that.
This is, and plus you get all the write-off and interest, and you get a home for your family to live in, and of course it's the cul-de-sac. This property is just hot.
I'm sitting here with Laura Lee, and we're talking about mortgages in today's market.
So how hard is it to get a loan, to get a mortgage loan?
This is a question I get asked all the time, from first-time home buyers to people that have owned homes for a long, long time. And the reason is things have changed so much over the last 10 years. It was very, very easy 8 to 9 years ago to get a mortgage, and then it became very, very difficult after the market crashed. And now in the last couple of years, it's become a little bit more easy, a little bit more predictable to get a mortgage.
So how do I get qualified for a mortgage loan?
There's 3 things that you need to get a mortgage loan in today's market. You need acceptable income, reasonably good credit, and usually some form of a down payment.
Okay, so what is reasonably good credit?
Okay, the higher your credit score, the better. You're going to get more options and more opportunities, better terms on your loan if you have a higher credit score. I usually like to see your credit score over 700.
Okay.
But there are mortgages available for you even if your credit score is all the way down to 620.
What does acceptable income mean?
Well, acceptable income means income that you can document
Okay.
through tax returns or through your employer, and also income that's enough to cover your house payment and all of your debts.
So Darren, how much of a down payment would I need?
Well, there's different loan programs that have different down payment requirements, and in some cases you can actually get 0 down.
Oh, wow.
There's loans for veterans and some other loans out there, first-time home buyer loans, that help out with the down payment. So in some cases you can get 0 down. But if you can get a little bit saved up, when I say a little bit, I mean 3% and even 5%, then that just opens your options to the different loan programs that are available. There's a lot of other information out there too for your specific needs, but those are the basics to get started with. So thanks for coming in, Laura Lee. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
You bet. Now we're going back to Jay.
Let's take a look at some more houses. So heading back down into Utah County, we're in Highland. This is a great little house. It's got the animal rights and all that stuff. But before we get into that, let's talk about what a loan would look like on this house if you wanted to buy something like this. Darren, what do you got?
The purchase price is at $665, it appears, and so that means that you would want a down payment of 20% to get the very best terms on your loan. That would put your APR at about 5.875, so your principal and interest payment would be $3104 per month.
$3104. Yeah. Usually people on these type of houses come with a lot of money down. This is like a second or third home typically, and so people have rolled their equity.
That's right.
Because they've gone into this one.
And if you can get your down payment big enough to get it to $417, you can get much, much better terms.
Yeah. And that's usually what you see on these type of homes. So this one, when they bought this house, they actually were in love with a builder called Jukes Brothers. I don't know if you remember them. Great builder, but they were super expensive. And so these guys took the plan or the kind of style that they built their homes, bought this this one and remodeled it into this in their style. And so they used a lot of the same contractors. You can see the basement there. They finished out the basement.
Something that I really liked that they did with the basement is they added their own home theater, they added a gym, and they added a mother-in-law kitchenette down there as well.
Yes, and this is designed really for a big family. You've got 7 bedrooms and 5 full baths. And the nice thing, it's right next to the equestrian park. And so these type of properties are always valuable because people that love animals and love horses and stuff always want to be in that area. And that's just a great neighborhood. So stay tuned after the break because I'm going to take you to our featured home. And this one, it's got an incredible backyard that rivals Red Butte Gardens.
You don't need someone dropping the ball on your mortgage. Recruit a professional. Deher Rhodes, Utah's mortgage pro. He's got the skills, speed, and experience to win the best financing for your home. So draft Deher today at utahmortgagepro.com.
Searching down home flyers is so 1980s. If you are ever driving around and you find your dream neighborhood, all you need to do is download Jade's free mobile app. Using this app, you can search for homes, investment properties, and vacant land available using your phone's GPS. What you need to do is text JSLC to 87778. Text JSLC to 87778.
If you like gardens, this next house you're really gonna love. So headed down for our featured property in this episode, we're headed down into Draper to one of the most stunning landscaped houses I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of houses in my time. This one is absolutely incredible. They nestled this one up against the BLM land, and BLM land stands for Bureau of Land Management, so nobody can build behind this property. And of course they sit on the top or just on the side of the mountain and overlook the valley, as you can see out their front windows. This couple is really incredible people. She was a professional cyclist and he was a business banker. And they didn't have a lot of time when they were in the business world, and so they could just live in condos and stuff. And so when they bought this property, they were actually going to buy a parcel of land and develop it and do all these gardens, but they actually ran across this incredible home and decided this would work for them. They wanted those big vaulted ceilings and big open floor plans.
And they spared no expense on this house.
That's right. So when we get to the garden, I can't wait. I almost want to jump to it. But the inside of the house, as you can see, is absolutely stunning.
This house was really built for entertainment. There's so much room to have as many people over as you would like.
Yeah, just multiple levels, as you can see, going into the master bedroom.
Something interesting is if you notice on most of the windows, with the exception of the master bedroom, of course, there's no window coverings. Yeah, why is that?
Well, because there's nobody that lives close to it, and with all the trees and everything and with the vacant land behind it, you don't need to have covers on your windows.
There's already enough privacy.
That's right. And the way that they built their garden out outside, it just literally created almost like a beautiful forest outside.
All right, well, let's go check out that backyard.
So this is what they created. So if you ever wanted your own Red Butte Gardens, the question is, what does it cost?
I can't imagine.
Estimated cost is a little over $300,000 to build out this backyard, the landscaping of this house, but it's worth every penny.
Now they have about 12 water features, wasn't it?
Yeah, I lost count as we walked through and looked at everything, but it was absolutely incredible. As you can see, the way they designed it is have different areas, just like they would do it at the gardens, literally like they've got their Asian area, and as you notice on the flowers as you're going up, each one of the flowers are labeled and detailed like just unbelievable.
They're labeled individually.
Individually, so you know what each plant is. And as you can see, as you walk down the path and go around everywhere, the detail work and what they've put into this property it's absolutely stunning. And it truly is an amazing home.
Now Jay, what does a garden like this cost to maintain?
So they have a lot of time that they spend in their business and traveling and stuff. They spend about $4,500 a year to have landscapers come in and maintain the grounds and keep it up to this level. As you see right there, they've actually got a chair lift from one of the old
ski lifts. That's
right,
great.
isn't that awesome?
Now, one thing that was so exciting in this garden is to watch the sun go down.
Yeah, that literally transformed as the sun would set. As you can see, it just became extremely, as if it wasn't peaceful before, it became extremely peaceful, and it just, the water running through there and the darkness,
The sounds and the smells and
spectacular property.
Jay, where do you come up with your best ideas?
You know, I come up with great ideas, or some of the funny stories is driving them around in my mobile office. So Darren, hop in the car here. Let's head on back to the office.
Have you ever shown a house that had a ghost in it?
I've actually sold a couple houses that have had ghosts in them. I never saw the ghosts, but I got some great stories. Do you really want to go down that road?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's go. Okay, because it's a great story. I have a couple that come to me and want to buy a house, and I've known them for quite a long time. They want to buy this house, and I actually know the sellers because the sellers are actually a real estate agent. Okay, and they're moving down to Phoenix for whatever, I don't remember. They're moving, they end up buying the house. The husband's in the military, and he goes off overseas. And the wife's living in the house, and they've adopted this little girl that's always standing at the top of the stairs, going down to the basement. She's always waving down in the basement, going, hi, hi. But she's a little girl, so not thinking anything of it, right? Well, then the mom and the daughter are down in the basement. Mom turns around, and there's a little girl, a figure of a little girl standing there. She freaks out, grabs the kid, goes out of the house, will not go back in the house. She calls the seller immediately and says, I saw a ghost in the house, and the seller says, you saw it? Seller says, you saw it? They call me up, she calls me up immediately freaking out and says, there's a ghost in the house, I don't want this house. I got to go to my broker because I'm thinking, how do you handle it? I've never dealt with it. I go to the broker.
Yeah, is that in the contract?
Well, yeah. And the broker says, well, there's actually, it occasionally happens, but there's no disclosures for it. There's no, you don't say, well, we've had paranormal activity. There's nothing in the seller disclosures for it.
Oh, my goodness.
They end up, taking care of the ghost. The ghost gets taken care of however they take care of it, and they're happy, and the house, they're still living in the house, and everything's wonderful. But turns out they actually, in that neighborhood, and I won't say the neighborhood because I don't want to, but they've actually found pioneer graves and stuff, and some of the neighbors have said they've seen kind of the same sort of thing going on.
Oh, wow. No kidding.
Creepy.
Yeah. There's nothing, I got to tell you, there's nothing in a mortgage contract that says anything about paranormal activity. Not a thing.
I never saw the ghost. I just had to deal with the situation.
This is why you get a real estate agent, people. You don't want to deal with that stuff on your own.
You never want to deal with ghosts.
Thanks for joining me on Real Estate Essentials. Tune into our show next time. We're going to keep track of the hot changing real estate market here in Utah. If you have a house that you'd like featured on our show, or if you have a question for us, look us up on Facebook. Until then, take care. We'll talk to you soon.